All right. Okay, so we're going to get rolling on this. Before we do, since we don't have folks from all over the place, I know Kaylee's probably talked about Jamie until everyone's sick of hearing about it, but we're going to make introductions real quick just to kind of nail everything down. Hi, I'm Doyce. My pronouns are he, him, they, and that's all I'm going to get into right now, except I'm going to try to, run this thing. That's all we need right now. Name, pronouns, and we'll start talking about characters in a hot second. Jamie, why don't you go next because you're the next person on my screen.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
My name is Jamie. I'm Kat's friend from Colorado. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm excited.
Nice. Kaylee.
Hi, guys. You all know me. I am the interconnecting force of this charade. Pronouns are she, they, and we're chilling. I keep thinking my camera's over here. It's not. It's over there. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Josephine.
My name is Josephine, and my pronouns are she, her.
I guess Kieran and Brooklyn need to take turns.
I'm Kieran. He, they, anything really works.
I'm Brooklyn. She, they, or also anything works.
Or also anything works.
Brendan, I love your profile pic.
I don't.
Great.
I that will balance out because it's actually physically harmful to me. I don't mean mentally. Mentally, I'm fine. Physically, I'm actually taking hit point damage every time I look down. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rolling on masks because that's what we generally sort of settled on for that. I've got the main mask screen up here real quick. I don't know. Kaylee's like, it'll be fine. I don't know what everybody's well, I shouldn't say everybody. I don't know what Josephine, Kieran, and Brooklyn's background is with RPGs. So, Kieran, you just mic'd up, so you get to go first. Like, what's your background there with stuff?
I've played a few RPGs.
Okay. Not as many as you would have liked to. That's fine. It's reps don't.
More than I would have liked to.
Oh, more than you would have liked to. Oh, well, okay.
Too much D&D.
Too much D&D.
Too much D&D. Anything other than D&D?
Call of Cthulhu.
Okay.
And there was another weird one, but I can't remember the name of it right now.
Well, this will be added to another weird one list here in a little while. I mentioned it mostly so I have a point of reference for stuff. Brooklyn, I gather from Kaylee, like having to kind of explain it on the bus that your background isn't extensive.
Yeah, it's not very much. I played Call of Cthulhu with my brother when I was like 10, but that was before I could actually like comprehend any of it. So
yeah,
this is new to me.
Okay. Josephine, I don't know what the answer to this question is.
Just D&D.
Just D&D. Okay. So the thing to understand about masks, it does work like an RPG in the like D&D in the sense that you roll dice when there is a thing that could happen and we don't know when the result could go either way and the results are interesting, we roll. If the results could go either way and the results aren't that interesting, then we're just going to go, fuck it, let's just do this one thing. And if the results are kind of obvious, then we'll just kind of go, we probably won't roll dice then either. Everybody will be asked to answer questions, both about the character and also about the way the world works. Some of the character stuff, the questions that you have to answer about your characters as you're making them up, will change how the world works. I'm going to just flat out ask questions. So kind of have your invention brain running as much as possible. I know that's hard on a Sunday evening.
On your creativity.
Yeah, warm up your creativity. I know that's hard on a Sunday evening, but it was the time that everybody could make it. So that'll be a little bit different. Just kind of roll with it. For Brooklyn, I guess the easiest way I could really explain it is it's sort of a conversation where a story comes out at the end. I'm just gonna leave it at that for right now. So what we're gonna do, getting warmed up here, and I might pick on Kaylee first to kind of provide an example. So you might have to not knit for a little bit while we work on this. I'm going to give people a little bit of an example of what this whole thing looks like and all that kind of stuff. So go ahead.
It's crochet.
What did I say? Knitting?
Yeah.
Textile arts. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the character sheet as Kaylee's looking at hers, and just talk through generally what all the stuff is. So I'm going to, you should have gotten a thing in Roll20 that pops up Kaylee's character sheet. Okay. The character sheets are kind of general. I've customize this one, you can do that. If there's a little checkbox up here at the top that lets you pick which playbook it is, Kaylee has indicated that she's going to do the star, so I checked the star. Stuff on the character sheet changes when you pick the character sheet in question. The stuff that's below the line is playbooks that came later than the main rules, so you won't, for those of you, apologies, but like Josephine's looking at the main rules, and she will find the beacon in there. Kaylee won't, because the star, she'll find the beacon. She won't find the star in the main rules because the star came in a later book. Most of the stuff that you need to play the character is in that playbooks document that I sent, like the stuff with all the playbooks and stuff that I sent over to Kaylee. So that's stuff with the character sheet. Now this is all game rule stuff that we got to worry about in a little bit. You pick out your basic playbook, figure out your names, and this is what I grabbed off of the play sheet that Kaylee needs to mess with. So on here, I grabbed the stuff from the character sheet. You kind of look up the stuff for your character's look and answer some questions about their backstory, and then you stop. Don't do the one for when your team first came together. Don't do relationships. Okay? Now for that, Kaylee, you got to click on the bio and info tab if you're not already on there, and that shows the stuff. And then if you edit it, you can go in there and type stuff in. For the look, it's just, you can just delete what doesn't match. What are you making that face for?
I thought I had done something wrong, but I was correct.
If you don't know what playbook you want, if you got questions, if you're like, well, I'm thinking about this, but I don't know if that playbook works, whatever, that's when we talk and figure that stuff out, okay? Kaylee's been jonesing to play a certain playbook, and she's kind of lined this thing up, and also she's played this a bunch and picks up a lot of it by, sort of a radiation leak off of me. If you have a character name, you'll want to also edit the character name when you go into the edit mode for that character sheet. So I kind of went into most people's character sheets and got in the information. So Jamie, you've got the one up here that just says Crook.
Although I need help with my background questions because I don't know anything about my character.
Okay, maybe you should just think about it.
Yeah, this is hard.
Okay, say more.
Okay, so I will just read aloud my backstory questions for y'all. When did you first appear on screen?
So actually back up a little bit. Why don't you explain to people what playbook you're planning on playing?
I'm playing a star. So let me read you our fancy little description. Why don't I? Because it's fun.
Well, the basic idea is somebody who is both a superhero and sort of trying to become a social media star, an influencer.
Yeah. So, fucking Booster Gold or
every single supers in The Boys.
In the worst way possible.
In the worst possible way, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, I have stuff that focuses on, my audience. So, my TikTok followers or people who keep an eye on me specifically. A lot of people, in the spotlight, but it's a part of my character.
Okay, so before we get into your character, I'm provide a little bit of background and kind of settle Kaylee into this thing a little bit. So if you're playing the general idea, and I'm going to do this unless we decide on something a little bit different, I'm probably going to default to being in Halcyon City. So just think of Halcyon City as sort of like, what if Gotham plus Metropolis plus New York in New City, okay? There have been, in Halcyon City, 3 full it's basically superhero central. The superheroes all around the world, but for some reason they gravitate here. Could be there's a Hellmouth, could be that's where the time and rift continuum tends to get messed up the most. I'm looking at Jamie's character. Could be lots of different reasons. But for whatever reason, there's a lot of supers here most of the time. There have been 3 full generations of superheroes that have been active in the city for years and years and years before you lot came along, okay? Back to the early parts of the 20th century. You're all part of the 4th generation. So you've got the gold generation, the silver, the bronze, and now whatever the hell they finally decide to call your generation. They're still members of the other generations active to greater or lesser degrees, not as many gold ones as say, but the silver ones are like the boomers. They just won't let go of power. They just still like being in charge. The city is pretty used to all kinds of insanity, dinosaurs going down the street, dark wizards turn all of Central Park into, a fantasy world, whatever. They're still amazing, but that's what it is. Very big city, kind of whatever you need to be there is there. And you've got some background organization. So if we need a shield organization, we've got one. If you need whatever thing you need from a superhero setting, you can pretty much say, hey, I need something that's kind of the same as whatever, Cobra. We'll figure something out. The general idea is that the people on the team choose to be on the team. They don't you might have accidentally killed somebody in your past, but you don't like solve problems by killing people. You aren't illegal or openly hunted yet, but you're also not necessarily super popular. Kaylee's character is working on that. So that's the general idea is you're not like the best heroes in the world. You're not the most favorite heroes in the world. You're also not currently being hunted by the authorities. We're not doing that kind of story right now. So
Don't worry, we can get there.
we will get there. I will absolutely hunt you to the ends of it. No, I'm kidding. So if you look at any one of the character sheets, you have to kind of sort some stuff out. Okay, I'm going to bounce Kaylee's character sheet up here again, up onto the screen just so folks can see it. She's going into the bio and info thing, and she's eliminated some of the stuff. A focus-tested costume. Nice. Okay.
Most definitely.
Yeah, and then what kind of clothes? You haven't clearly decided what kind of clothes you wear when you're not in costume. Cool. When did you first appear on screen? What do you tell people about how you got your powers versus what actually happened?
So that second question, I'm going between two things.
Okay.
And we can say which one is more interesting or what we don't want to worry about.
Did you put your character pic? Oh, and you put some character sketches up in the character pic section. Interesting. Charming.
We can tell which one is better, the green or the purple one. I kind of like the green one, but that's just me.
Purple kind of seems to blend in with the jacket. At least it either needs to be more purple or I like it.
It was because it was an accident, but I did it and then I was like, hey, that's kind of cool.
I like the green with the gold wings. That's kind of a nice.
I do like the green.
Those
I
shoes.
think we might go with the green.
Those shoes seem like they should be listed as a superpower for you. Holy shit.
They are incredibly detailed and took me a very long time. Please look closely at them, for they took many details.
They don't show up very well on my screen, but that's just
No,
me.
they don't, because I colored the black, but there's much detail.
All right. I think I remember on the sketch there being a ton. Anyway.
Rather than telling people about how you got your powers, I'm going between two things. And it also kind of depends on what kind of audience I'm cultivating. So I'm absolutely going to have some sort of PR agent character. And I think that's part of it, is like something that I pick later down the line. But I'm wondering if, as this girl from a small town to a big city, the PR agent went down the religious route of tell people that you got your powers at a young age because you were blessed by God. And then they just sprouted out of your back like an angel. You were so pious and good that God gifted you with wings. So either that, or just tell people that I was born with them. Some kind of thing. So we could have something with the audience or some religious bullshit, or we could just have, I just tell people I was born with them. The wings, I mean, of course.
I mean, as somebody from the Midwest, the rural Midwest, I both love and hate option one because
I know, right?
I cannot answer that question. Look at some of the other, while you're thinking about that, who outside the team supports your burgeoning star in every way possible? Is that your PR person? Is it like your aunt or your uncle or something?
I wanted it to be my twin sister.
Ooh, I would love to meet.
Because, I'm assuming that something happened where I was, kidnapped and experimented on from a young age. And it's funny because I remember that experience terribly because it was literally torture. And she is silently a little bit resentful that they took me instead of her. And so the way that she kind of meddles her fingers in there is being my PR agent.
I am very much looking forward to role-playing / kidnapping her. That should go, that's going to go really well.
Thinking is the person who supports the star is my twin sister PR agent.
Cool, love that. Who outside of the team loathes you and what you represent? Think about that. And then finally, why do you care about the team? So that's usually the last one. It may make more sense to answer that once you've heard about some other ideas that people are talking about.
Yeah, I was going to save that for the very end.
Okay. And the last thing here, if you look at how it is on Kaylee's sheet there, when your team first came together, don't do that yet. We do that as a group once we got everybody else's kind of poop in a group. And the relationships are the same thing. It doesn't make any sense to put any names into the blanks for the relationships until you've heard about the other people on the team. Cool?
Just to raise the consensus, are people thinking that the religious thing is more interesting, or I just tell people that I was born with them?
What if...
Josephine likes the religion thing, especially if it's a story kicked up by the sister.
What if... And I think this just because I saw a thing on Tumblr just recently where it was like it was two pictures side by side. It was like a guy and his fiance. It was the picture right before the wedding kind of thing. And the guy's got a little bit of a goatee and the glasses and the short hair because they're both Mormon. And the next picture, it's in the same position. And it's a girl in a nice sundress with some short hair. And the one next to it is in the same position. And you notice the teeth are exactly the same as the girl in the other one, but the hair is all buzz cut up on one side. There's glasses and there's a different outfit. And the caption underneath is, it turns out that I'm a girl, she's gay, and neither one of us are Mormon. So I'm thinking about that in my head when I think, what if the original story was that it was like a religious thing, and then when you finally got away from home, it was like, no, I was just born with it. The religious thing never came into it. So like there's all this past resentment and that kind of stuff, and two different stories out there and retconning.
I had a wonderful and terrible idea.
You did?
Yeah.
What's that?
So consider growing up in almost a religious cult, and the cult is they wanted to almost Nazi-esque picked the twins to experiment on one of them and leave the other one untouched. And they told everybody else and the child that they were picked by God and they were doing some extra special lessons to learn this. When in reality it was just science.
I am beginning to regret watching Orphan Black with you, but I kind of fucking... Okay. Now, this is an important question, and I need to ask this question. Is this too fucked up for anybody? Is it too fucked up? Because I don't want people to be uncomfortable with, like, every time Kaylee's character talks about her background, I kind of want to just crawl into a shell.
Please, 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 if anything strikes anybody as too much, please say something. And also, please talk to us so that we know what you're feeling.
Minds and veils.
Well, and also just a plain old X card. You don't have to explain what's going on. If you're like, please don't, that's good. That's fine. We don't have to. We'll just back up and retcon it.
I like it. I think that's awesome.
I didn't hear a lot of it because I'm trying to figure out this whole thing, but
All right.
It sounds cool. And what I'm seeing on Trin's computer looks really sick. So.
Yeah. The general idea is that Kaylee was an experiment from a religious cult, and then they escaped, deprogrammed themselves, and came to Halcyon City. And her twin sister is now her PR agent instead of the other person in the cult that was being like the control for the experiment. I think that's sick as fuck, honestly. So
That's what I'm going with. So I tell people that I was born with them, but I used to tell people that they were a gift from God.
I'm just curious. I'm going to have you do this for me. Grab the PDF of the playbooks. Give yourself a scan down through them and see if there's another playbook that makes more sense than Star, given what you just figured out. I'm not saying there is. Just look, okay?
The character books, like
the playbooks.
The like playbooks, not
Yeah.
like the slideshow. Okay.
Yeah, I shared the playbooks, didn't I? I did. I emailed them to you, didn't I?
Yes, I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure.
Just
I have them.
flip down and see if there's anything else that potentially makes more sense.
You wanted to look at the monster? That's what it's called.
The
right?
transformed?
Transformed, yeah.
I mean, nah, I wasn't really thinking about that. I don't know what's in her camera frame there.
Oh, shoot.
It is my reminder that my camera is over there.
You know what?
Not over here.
Just switch what's on the different screens. Put the stuff on the one. Do this. Wait, where's my camera? There. This.
Damn you, intelligent fool.
I am an intelligent fool. All right, so that's stuff that you need to work on. Blah, 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 blah. Let me know what you think about with the playbook. I'm going to give one more person with a few more reps and familiarity with this a turn, and then probably pick on Josephine. I'm trying to give Brooklyn as long as possible because she's wrestling with stuff. So Let's pull up Crook's sheet real quick. I'm going to show it to the
You're
player.
doing great, sweetie.
Wait, did you switch it to the transformed or did you just do something? What are you doing here?
Me?
Yeah, this is weird. Oh, I see what happened. All right, so you were looking at the Harbinger?
Damn right.
Oh,
And I'm
man.
excited about it.
All right, so the Harbinger's basic idea is well, if you've ever watched Young Justice, they're impulse. They came from the future because the future is broken and they're coming back here to the present, i.e. their past, with a somewhat spotty knowledge of history that's now current to fix whatever has fucked up their future.
Or if you've ever watched Umbrella Academy 5 Hargreave.
5, yeah, sure, 5 Hargrave. Yes, also that.
Second season of Young Justice, Impulse.
Also, well, one of my other mask games had a Harbinger in it that was.
Hey, Dad, were you thinking of any specific playbook that you thought suited better?
No, I just know that like having a big revelation. I'm not steering you towards anything. I just wanted you to double check.
I just wanted to check. I'm looking through, but I wanted to be like, I was like, wait, this would just go easier if he was just telling me what he was thinking. But if you didn't have anything in mind, then I'm just
No, I'm just like, hey, that's pretty wild. Let check and make sure that you're still aligned with the original playbook idea. That's all it was. Okay, so the basic idea is time traveler who came back to try to fix stuff. There's stuff you need to worry about. Now, there's other stuff on the character sheet on your playbook that you should look at. That's like the powers that you have and things like that. We're going to ask all of that. But for right now, I think the background questions are a little bit more important. So that's what I'm sort of focusing on a little bit right now, more than anything else. Cool?
With the background questions,
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of struggling, and I kind of want everybody else's input because I want the future / the apocalypse, because I want it to be the apocalypse, to be tied to everybody else and everybody else's lives in a sense, if that makes sense.
Yes, but I think, here's the thing. You should definitely have a picture of what the apocalypse is like in the future. Like the reason that it's bad, it isn't just because there aren't any cows, which means you can't have ice cream anymore. It should be worse. But how it's tied to the past is stuff that comes out through the moves where you connect stuff to who the monster is, who like you've got these roles that have to be filled in. And that has to happen in play. So you don't get to do it ahead of time because you're cheating. No, I'm kidding.
I still like Starbest. There's a couple other ones that could work, but I like the idea of the weirdly jealous sister also is the PR agent.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you for checking. So some of it is like, Jamie, it may be easier if you leave that, like, what's the future like until you hear more about everybody else? Maybe. So you figure out I don't know.
What ages are we thinking? Because that will help me with the when did I first appear on screen?
Yeah, so we'll just pause for that question. Do we want to be playing high schoolers? Do we want to be playing, 18 to 20 somethings? Do we want to be playing 20 somethings that are kind of out of school and just living on their own? By which I mean,
I'm good with whatever. What are other people's preferences, especially Brooklyn, Kieran, and Josephine? Like a kings and queens.
I'm fine with either character to go both, it's like if younger or older. So.
Josephine is like college age, so like 18 to 20 somethings.
I will say, as the person who has to narrate all this stuff, if things get emotional or complicated relationship stuff, it's a little bit less icky if they're adults legally. So I'm also okay with that.
That is a really, really good point.
Because there can be, it's fine. We can do a university just as easily, people going to university. It also means that there can be people who just don't, right?
Perfect. Are we good with that team?
It's interesting then who is going to college, who isn't, who's just working at Deja Brew, at some Deja Brew chain somewhere around the city.
Picture me.
Slay.
Brooklyn's breaking up. I can't hear what she's saying, but
Question.
yes.
Okay, so how did you travel from the future to the present day? Is it asking for a specific, or can it kind of be like, I don't really know, but I asked with my powers? Like, I don't really know what.
It could absolutely be like, you could absolutely be like, I have no idea. I was here. I don't really remember I remember what my life was like. Now I'm here. I recognize it as the past. I know I was working with a group and somehow I'm here, and you kind of like, there's something to be said, like the reason that your knowledge of history is spotty is because you're suffering from massive amnesia in patches and stuff because you just don't know. It could be that you have a power and you've been trying to get back, but it doesn't. That would be like 5, right?
But yeah, I'm kind of doing that a little bit.
Yeah. So it could be some manifestation of a power. It could be that you could have had Captain Jack's bracelet and the fucking thing burned out when you got here, and you're like, you don't know how to fix it.
Right.
So you've got it, and theoretically you could fix it if you could just figure out how. It could be like Impulse from Young Justice basically had like looked like an Apollo 1 capsule or Apollo 13 capsule that was only ever meant to make a one-way trip. Like,
What is the religious place where I was staying? What do I call it that isn't like the camp? Do I call it the home? The sanctuary? What do we call it?
Pleasantville.
Pleasantville? Shut up.
Or no, it would be something like if you're gonna go full on cult, it could be like New Eden, New Canaan, probably not New Gomorrah, New Sodom. It's a very interesting cult.
Oh, it's gifted.
So again, I'm just gonna let you percolate, Jamie. Why are your memories and knowledge of the future scrambled? What's the most important part of the future that you want to avert?
Also, that one. Can it just be like, I want to stop the fucking apocalypse?
Well, I'd be curious to see, like, what's the apocalypse supposed to be? Like, is Halcyon City a crater of that thing? Is it everything other than Halcyon City? Is like Halcyon City's in a bubble and the rest of the planet is a fucking wasteland?
I'm thinking like Last of Us-esque thing, but like forget the zombies and just like you can't breathe. Like if you breathe the air, you'll die. So like a nuclear apocalypse type thing maybe, and then something else. Also like maybe all of the heroes are.
Josephine is cracked.
Shut up.
Where we swapped atmospheres with a different planet.
Oh, and then obviously chaos ensues, and so then all the heroes have like fallen, and nobody is protecting each other anymore, and there's no society or government or anything.
Something was done, and now the atmosphere isn't breathable.
Yeah.
Because I want to leave enough space on the map to figure out what's actually the thing. There's actually a series, a book series called X Heroes, as in EX Heroes, and X is the phrase that the people in the setting use for zombies. So it is a superhero story, but it's also a zombie apocalypse. And there's like enclaves around, and the enclaves that are surviving are the ones that have superheroes to defend them. The superheroes, with a couple of exceptions, the superheroes are not immune to the zombie disease.
Hell yeah.
This leads to some very interesting
I bet.
situations. Yeah, that one's pretty wild. Also, the military manufactured some supers, and that didn't go badly at all. It's great. Okay, so there's some questions there for people to answer, questions to ask and answer and stuff. Go ahead, go crazy. I'm just curious. I'm going to look at Josephine's now and see if the entire thing is completely done. It isn't. Yay. Okay. So again, I'm going to pop the thing up here for Josephine. Again, if you edit, you can scroll and tweak any of the answers down in the little editing thing. You can also change the name of the character. Josephine might be the only one who's actually got a character name picked out.
Apparently she said that she's been editing it, but she can't see it.
You got to save.
You had to save. Was it all done? 60%? Yikes. Here, I'll help you.
We have to at least get Josephine's name in here. What's the character's name? Cassie?
Cassie Cassidy.
Cassie Cassidy. What was it? You said the superhero name too, but I didn't get to hear that one. Kaylee just said that was the one she.
It's Remedy.
Remedy? I love that. So the deal, what Josephine's going with is the Beacon, who is the person who may or may not have really any kind of superpowers. No powers and not enough training, all that kind of stuff. So think like Hawkeye. So I'm gonna, and there's again the questions back here in the bio, the look and stuff. Backstory: how did you get your skills? When did you first put on your costume? Who outside of the team thinks you should not be a superhero? Why do you try to be a hero? Why do you care about the team? We'll worry about the other stuff once we get through all of that kind of thing.
Okay.
Okie dokie. Kieran, I think, has been going like a madman here in the background, unless he did it to somebody else's character sheet. No, he isn't even in this one. All right, never mind. Kieran, what playbook are you looking at?
I was looking at the Reformed, I believe.
So the Reformed is somebody who used to be a criminal and is now either wanting to or being forced to be better. So
Yes.
who mentored you in the IRA?
The liberation of Northern Ireland.
Shit. Okay. Who showed you the older women in the IRA? What's your goal? What was your goal as a villain? The liberation of Northern Ireland? Swing, aim big is good. Caused you to switch. I found out the bomb I planned was going to harm kids. I love this. Why do you care about the team? Originally saw it as my way to redemption. They become a family for me. Love it. What a terrible enemy for my old life. I like the idea that the IRA is okay. So this changes things a little bit for me because this ties things a little bit more into current stuff. So I'm going to this is recalibrating my understanding of the world because we're going to have some.
Do some research on the IRA.
That's really not going to be a problem.
Do it.
Kieran?
Little fuck from the church loathes what I represent.
Okay. I think that should be another powered person.
Who?
Halo.
Ooh.
Please tell me it is some white man who is panders to religion. Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Hey friends, how we doing on this lovely evening?
There's so many different tabs open right now on my computer. I am overwhelmed.
Okay, wait, question. If you breathe the air and you're now under the control of the air, what do you do? Classic zombie, now you eat the other person, or you just try and make them also breathe the air?
Or we could do it super dark where it just tries to get you to kill yourself.
No, I'm going to X-card that. You say, I just don't want to do something, just do this in the camera. I would prefer not to have it be the suicide virus. Please.
Sounds good.
Understood. I don't know, my brain just goes to dark places.
So, eats other people?
I don't know. I think you start.
Eating other people is so 90s.
I think when you get infected fully, you immediately start building stuff, like specific structures. Like you join in with the other infected people and start grabbing resources and pulling them together to build stuff. A thing.
Well, that adds to how I went back in time, because how I went back in time is me and this one group, we were going to find this power source. We found it, we were trying to get it, and then shit went downhill, and a bunch of, I don't know, people's powers went off, maybe some of the infected's powers went off, and it hit the power source in me, and my powers misfired while also hitting the power source, which is what gave me amnesia, and sent me back in time so far.
Love it. I like the drawing of Remedy throwing the needle too. That's really cool. If you look at Remedy's character sketch, there's the needle that they throw. It's weird because I'm always thinking that Kaylee's mic is broken because she's talking, but she's not mic'd up. It's okay.
Josephine has a question.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like she has a question.
She's being shy.
No, I'm just having a problem with one of the questions in my backstory.
All right, let me look.
I was
Get it.
the question of when did you first put on your costume. I was wondering if I could have it so that one of the other members of the team gave me my costume. The same person who maybe convinced me to join the team in the first place.
So so there's an event that is how the team first came together. So all that would mean is that the first time that you decided to help, you weren't even in costume. You weren't doing the superhero thing. You just helped in street clothes. And then afterwards somebody came.
I was thinking one of the other teammates would see me helping people and then convince me to be on the team and then gave me a costume. Before
the group event that everybody was kind of together with, you had previously already known somebody and they helped get you rolling. Is that right?
No, they noticed her helping people and then
they're going to be a superhero. They should be.
You're double mic'd. You're double mic'd.
Oh.
It's okay. It's okay.
Sorry. So, Jamie, we should pick between one of us because there's implications to both of them. And I think they have that PR image. You should be da 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 da.
I look at her and I say, you might
Yes.
cause or save the future.
Yes. So it's either you because you're like, wait, you're supposed to be a superhero. Let's get you in this.
Also, Josephine,
You know, let's hook you up, Queen.
yeah, Josephine, the game I did with Kat last time, I think I also, I wasn't really doing the super thing yet the first time the team got together.
Yeah.
I think kind of some of us weren't.
I mean,
And we...
I like both of the answers. Kaylee's feels more like the Molly Ringwald makeover in Breakfast Club, and which is gross.
Well, Josephine, which one would you rather it be? That you cause/help the future, or that you want someone to be interested in, oh yes, you have so much potential?
I kind of feel like it would be a little more interesting coming from Kaylee because my character, more than anything, hates attention. And so for the star to be actively trying to pull them into the spotlight and for me to be actively resisting, I think will be a really fun dynamic.
Wait,
That's
I
cool.
love that so much.
It's sick. It's good.
That's incredible.
So can I say that, what's your character's name?
Her name is Valerie.
Can I say that she gave me my costume and pulled me into this?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
That's get permission from Kaylee, but if that's cool, you don't have to ask me. I'm just.
Yeah.
I have a thing I do at work because I'm a boss person at work, and my people will sometimes go, "Is it okay if I take PTO next week?" And I'm like, so it's your PTO, it's yours. You don't ask me how you spend your money. You're not going to tell me how you spend your PTO. Let me know, and that's kind of how I say with these questions. You don't have to ask permission, but do let me know because I need to figure out how to integrate it.
Yeah, and if you need help, you just ask for it. But that's fucking sick, and I love it a lot because. So I'm assuming I'm gonna kind of build this narratively. You tell me if anything's off with it. But the first fight with the team, somebody gets fucking.
Wait, we're not talking about the first fight yet. Pause. Pause button. We're not talking about that yet.
Rip.
I don't want to get ahead.
Okay, sorry.
Answer the question that it answers. That's good. Leave it from there. I'm going to hide Brooklyn COs.
Sorry, I got so excited.
I know, man. It's fine. I'm going to look at Brooklyn's thing real quick so people are familiar with it. Brooklyn's looking at doing the attached, which is was on the spreadsheet thing. Jamie, you would never have run into this before because it's not in any of the books. The questions
I read a little bit about it because I looked up some of the
example characters.
Yeah.
The idea is you've got a partner person, thing, entity. I think in Brooklyn's case, she's going with giant toad, something like that, which I am totally down for. What happened when you first met the friend? Say again, Brooklyn.
My character originally met her frog. It was given to her to be a pet, and they became best friends, and she takes him everywhere. And then one day she's walking home from gymnastics practice, and she was carrying her little tote bag. In that tote bag, she has a little dropper bottle that she uses to keep her little frog moist because she carries him around with her all the time. So she runs into this guy, a little suspicious guy, and they switch bags, and guy's kind of rude about it, and he picks up the wrong bag. She walks home, goes to put a dropper or some water on her little frog, and turns out what was in the other guy's bag was an enhanced growth hormone that makes her little frog really big.
So clearly, this is an awesome and terrible idea that I love. So
Possibly also in the growth hormone, an intelligence booster.
there's a lot of stuff happening with the frog, is what we're going with here.
The frog is frog.
The frog has opinions.
How do I change the name of the freaking character?
Edit, and then it's in the field up at the top if you edit. So you got to go in the bio thing.
Cat, it's under name.
Ha! That is some top-notch shade. I just want to respect that. I want to recognize it. Good stuff. Do you see where you change it, Kaylee?
Yes.
Okay.
Should I do relationships right now?
No, you should wait until you hear about everybody, and then we'll.
Where's Halcyon, Dad? Where do we put it? Is it like Boston, kind of?
Well, where do you guys want to do? What I often do is what I kind of put it in the middle on the East Coast, kind of around North Carolina. There's a sort of a spot of coastline that doesn't have too many big cities, but we could put it on the West Coast. We could put it up, we could put it on Victoria Island or Vancouver Island. We can put it in the mountains. I like having it around some kind of water because, invulnerable characters are super fun to drown. We can put it on an island, like off the coast, so it's in like international water someplace. What sounds good?
I mean, some kind of coastal thing. Pretty sick. Kind of like where New York is, kind of.
Well, and that's kind of, you see my background, that's kind of the idea I had for the...
Like where?
What's that?
This is going to be a really dumb question. Are you ready? Is the Statue of Liberty in New York City?
I understand where you, who aren't originally from America, wouldn't know that. The fuck? Yes, the Statue of Liberty is in New York City. Yes. And I'm just going to stop there because otherwise I will just keep going.
Oh, New York's got a little temple.
Oh my god! Cat!
That's
What the fuck?
So, depending on how fast you can travel, Halcyon City is a couple hours south of New York. It's like halfway down the coast.
Okay.
I think I've got a map of it somewhere. I'll post it in a sec. I'm trying to fix stuff.
Which sounds better? Charlie Evans or Charlie Ellis?
Evans?
I think Evans. Josephine says Ellis.
Charlie Evans. Charlie Ellis. Charlie Ellis makes me feel like my tongue's going to trip up. There's too many L's right next to each other.
Too many L's. Josephine thinks the L's make it roll off the tongue better.
I'm good with either one.
By the way, I have to give Josephine credit for the superhero name that she gave me, Chrysalis, which is a little yellow bird that is used for good luck.
What's the name?
Chrysalis is a little yellow bird.
What was your name before?
What do you mean?
What did they call you when you were theirs? Because they had a different name for you back then that was not Chrysalis. I'm gonna struggle with that one. That's okay. Oh my.
She said, you can call me Chris. Like.
No. That's not what I'm saying. They gave you a superhero name. It was in line with Halo and all that kind. So.
I'm well aware.
Oh.
I'm trying to find it.
Okay. All right. That one's right. I mean, I'm not going to give you too much shade for giving me a name that I've got to pronounce because Kiernan went with something in Gaelic, and I'm going to have to fall on my sword and get a pronunciation guide for that one. I don't know. I can't even take a stab at that. I'm going to make mockery of it.
I'm looking for something easier to pronounce.
Oh fuck! I did the brackets wrong.
So, Dad, what they called me was Zamariella, because Zamariel was the first angel created by God. Zamariella.
Holy moly! Hi, what are you doing?
Thank you, Josephine, for the research.
Say goodnight.
Good night. Ah!
Go away.
No!
Can I be Zoe?
Good night, babe.
Goodbye.
Okay.
You're like way too good at this name thing.
I'm glad because otherwise I got to come up with stuff and it's exhausting.
And Dad, the pronunciation, Chrysolopus.
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 Chrysolopus. Or Crypto. Or Chris. Or Chriso. Or Chrissy. Chris me up.
Stick and Grant. Grant the Frog.
I assume Stick is the frog.
Dal Springer. I love that the gymnast's last name is Springer. I am all over that.
Josephine is way too good at this. The followers, my followers, you know how they like build low gang?
Mm-hmm.
The Chris tens.
No! Oh my god.
Also, guys, Grant, means super big.
Like big, like Volkswagen car big, or like is
Depends how much growth hormone she uses.
Incredible.
is he not always big?
No, he shrinks back down.
Interesting.
What happened when you first met the friend?
All right, so let me know when you guys basically have the answers to. You don't have to have every single question answered. Let me know when you've got most of the questions answered, so we can skip along.
Kieran, what the fuck?
What?
What is that hero name?
Again, I said I can't give you a lot of credit.
Yes.
It's in Gaelic.
Yes.
Kieran, do you know how to say that?
Shla, it'd be Shla.
Slanya.
Say it again.
Oh,
He's
I
been
meant
on
you.
Google Translate for like 5 minutes.
You could go with.
What is it?
It's pronounced
What is
Slanya.
Slania?
It means redeemer.
Redeemer.
Okay.
This game is
should I
gonna.
do-
Go ahead.
Should my super name be Calamity or Doomsday?
I like Calamity.
Calamity is thick as fuck.
Calamity is good.
Oh,
Does
or
that one
Paradox.
have beautiful outfits or preppy outfits?
What was the first
What
option?
about beautiful preppy?
Beautiful outfits or preppy clothing?
I mean, do you want to go Mean Girls or?
Legally blonde.
Oof.
Because I have designer clothing, formal wear, beautiful outfits, preppy clothing, casual clothing.
I mean, how much when you're not on the camera do you still dress like is the correct way to dress back in the compound? Because if you're going preppy, you're probably still dressing like the compound.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Because she doesn't have a mask, and because she just has, because her face is everywhere, people still know her.
Yeah.
So she's got to keep up the image. So it's got to be something like, definitely not designer clothing, because that's a little too much like, oh, I make money off my fans.
Preppy. I think you should do preppy.
Preppy. That's what
Yeah.
I'm going with.
Okay, wait. Calamity or Paradox?
Calamity.
Okay.
Don't worry, the paradox will happen.
I'm not worried.
You don't need to be right now. Yet.
Are we doing moves yet, or should I
Nah,
just
don't worry about that just yet.
Okay.
Okay.
I am done, and so is Josephine,
I'm also
by
done.
the way.
Okay, I gotta cancel that. Thank you for letting me know. Oh, I forgot about this. I realize now I should have moved some of this stuff earlier for Brooklyn's character, but I will get there now. That's probably.
Jamie, I love that Charlie is your like go-to name. I just think it's adorable.
I can't think of anything else.
Everybody has their go-to names.
Well, and I also looked up because she's supposed to be like the most average looking person to think of, to the
No,
point of like,
by the 6 times that you used average in your description of
to
yourself.
the point of like you would not even remember them, like you would forget about them, except for the fact that they look out of place because they look like they're from an apocalypse, right? So I also looked up most average girl names, and Charlie was one of them. So I was like, well, shoot, I guess I'll just go with the one I always use.
Okay, so Kaylee and Josephine are pretty much set up.
As is Jamie.
As is Jamie. It sounded like Kieran was pretty well there. And
I'm looking.
Brooklyn, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. My laptop is just about to die, so I'm gonna plug it in.
That's a good idea.
Aaron is pretty set. I just checked his out. He's pretty set.
Okay. So we've got the beacon, and then the star, and the star and the reformed, and the harbinger, and then we'll do the attached lab.
I'm just reading Brooklyn's character sheet. Who or what friends your relationship with the friend, the dog next door who tries to eat Grant?
So we're gonna bounce through and look at a couple of. We're gonna answer some playbook stuff, and because of the order of people, the way the playbooks kind of go, I'm gonna make Josephine go first. So for Josephine, we've got Cassie Cassidy. Nervous, shy, smiling politely. Distracting face due to the heterochromic eyes, hazel and blue. Casual clothing. The cute academia aesthetic. Dig it. Simple, stretchy costume. Simple, stretchy costume. I like that. Mobility, fantasy, archer-esque. Gotcha. I was born with my abilities. Chris gave me my costume. She's also the one that got me on the team. Who outside of the team doesn't think I should be a superhero? Everyone probably.
She apologizes.
What's that?
I'm sorry. I deleted the questions.
It's okay.
I replaced them with my answer.
It's okay. Who other than outside the team doesn't think I should be a hero? Everyone probably. I'm just a glorified medic. I don't want to be a hero. I just want to help people. Why is the team important to me? These people are amazing. They are really helping humanity. And if I can keep them all in good condition, keep them in play, humanity is all the better for it. I grew up in Brazil with my parents before immigrating to the U.S. for school on a gymnastics scholarship. Okay. So in a little bit, we will ask some other questions. We're going to do the when their team first came together thing.
And I would just like to point out, Brooklyn, I'm so sorry that I also added a gymnastics element to my character. It's just she has no defensive capability, so her only defense is to get the fuck out of the way. So that's what the gymnastics is for.
It's okay. I'm looking at the character sheet now. Some stuff that it asks you is if you have superpowers, they're pretty minor and not noticeable. If you have skills, you carry the necessary equipment. Choose two. Clearly one of them is meant to be acrobatics. Are we calling the other one sort of martial arts in how they're applied? Or is that kind of about right? You should explain to everybody what the hell you're doing.
I would probably say my abilities are more based in accuracy, which is why I kind of went for the archer.
So that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So basically this is not a joke, but I love describing it this way. You basically have ranged acupuncture.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. My superhero ability that I was born with is I have the ability to repair and regenerate organic material. And that means like plants, animals, humans, anything that's organic. But I focus specifically in humans because I'm not a gardener. But the way I am able to repair organic material is I can actually see the structural anatomy of living beings. And in doing that, I can see people's pressure points and nerves, like where their central nerves are. And therefore, I can hit them with acupuncture needles and immobilize them. I
think this is also going to be really good for some of the stuff that comes up for like reading people and figuring out what they're feeling, because you can sort of see when blood flushes to their face. Or
I could read technically I could read the chemical going around in their brain, which is why I'm in med school.
Do you throw the needles, or do you have a little poo-poo throwing them? Okay. Like May from Avatar. I thought you might have like a little.
If she wants to go at long range, it's a blowgun. Okay. So I'm going to take, since we're in the character sheet over here, there's one other thing a couple other things we need to do. If you look at your character sheets on Roll20, there's labels. These are your stats, for those of you who've done D&D before. Okay, so we've got stats. There are the two big things to remember about it is that the range is from -2, which is, it ain't going very well right now, up to a 3. It's a hard cap. 3 is very, very good. -2, not awesome. The way they tend to come up and the way they come up when you're doing rolls and stuff like that is you roll 2 6-sided dice and then you add this stat, whatever stat makes sense for whatever thing you're doing to that roll. And if you roll a 6 or lower, it's usually bad. If it's a 7 to a 9, it's a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, usually success at a cost. And if you can get a 10 or higher, you're sweet. Nothing too bad is going to happen. If you're looking at, Josephine looking at Cassie's sheet, you'll see underneath these 5 stats, Danger Freak, which I'll talk about in a second, Danger Freak, Savior, Superior, and Mundane, there's a sum of the labels, and that should add up to 3 until you level up and stuff like that. So you have a point to distribute. I want to talk about what the 5 labels are for real quick. So danger is essentially the thing that you roll when you're attacking somebody and you want to hurt them or take something away from them. Yes, ma'am. What?
Mine adds up to 2.
Yeah, because you haven't allocated that last point yet. No, everybody's adds up to 2 right now. There's a default for each playbook has a default setting at the beginning, like where your stats are supposed to be at the beginning, and then you get to add 1 somewhere. So it should add up to 3 eventually. So danger is for attacking somebody, for getting in somebody's face, for putting yourself at risk and putting whoever you're dealing with at risk. It's important to understand that if you have superpowers, there's a thing in here called unleash your powers. And you would think, like, every time I use my powers, I'm going to unleash my powers. If you're fighting, you use danger. If you're trying to protect somebody, you use savior. It doesn't matter if your powers are part of it. They probably will be. How you're ever going to protect somebody, that's just in there. But what you're doing matters more than whether or not it involves your powers or not. So danger, getting in there. So Josephine, the beacon defaults to a danger of -1. They're not necessarily about getting in there and punching people in the face. Their freak, which is unleashing your powers, usually to change your environment or overcome some kind of major obstacle. Like anybody who can fly can usually fly, but if you've got to fly through a hurricane, you're probably using freak to make your way through the hurricane or something like that. And for that, you use freak. Again, Josephine, beacon. If she has superpower, with the beacon, usually if you have superpowers, they're not super reliable, that kind of thing. Freak is -1 by default. Savior is about protecting other people, usually in the midst of conflict, like in the middle of a fight or something like that. If I'm going to grab and pull somebody out of the way, if I'm going to, shield them from something that's happening, if I'm going to counteract some negative thing that just happened to them, I'm going to be using Savior, and Josephine's defaults to a 2. Superior is your Batman stat. You're looking at stuff and assessing the tactical situation. You're noticing details, so you're Sherlock Holmesing stuff. You are picking apart somebody to provoke them and figure out what will push their buttons. You're doing stuff like that. For Josephine, for the beacon, superior defaults to a 0 at the beginning. And finally, mundane is the stat for regular human stuff. And the beacon gets a 2 in that. It's useful initially for a couple different things, which is pierce the mask, which is superior. Assessing the situation is like, what's going on around me? What can I use to my advantage? Who's the biggest threat in the area and stuff like that? Pierce the mask, because everybody wears a mask. It isn't just about whether or not they've got the little thing around their, over their eyes or anything like that. Everyone has a mask that they present. You are able to, if you make a pierce the mask roll, you're trying to figure out what makes them tick. What do they really want in this situation? How can I get them to like me? How can I get them to hate me? Whatever. That's what pierce the mask is for. And it's also used for comfort and support, which is the move for helping people recover from taking conditions and also sometimes even help yourself. Again, the beacon defaults to having a 2 in that. Josephine, you get to pick one, and there's a little up and down arrow. You can decide which one is going to be higher starting out than that. The other thing you really need to understand about these labels is they are fluid. They will change. They will change a lot. Do not get super attached to them, because this isn't like D&D. It's like if you have a strength stat of 18, your strength is 18. That's how strong you are. This is more about how you see yourself and how the world sees you than how you are objectively. It's how you are subjectively. So if everybody constantly encountering Remedy is telling them you're dangerous, you make bad decisions, blah, 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 all this other kind of stuff, and she hears it over and over and over again, she's going to start to see herself as dangerous unless she can resist that and hold to her own personal image of herself. So the people who have influence over you can change how you see yourself and kind of fundamentally who you are to a certain extent, because that's the stage. This is why this game is really good for running people who are like teens, early 20s kind of thing, and not so great for people who are like, I know who I am. Like, I don't listen to anybody else, that kind of stuff. You are just that way, okay? So that's part of it. And the other thing that we need to figure out with the beacon is on the second, everybody got the playbook. So if you're looking at the playbooks that I sent in the PDF, there's a couple of moves to pick for the beacon that are on the second page. I can get them copied over out of the PDF really easy, Josephine. You just have to tell me which ones you want. They kind of describe like sort of ways that you get to take the normal rules and kind of twist them around. So straight up creeping is you get to roll mundane in a situation where you would normally roll superior for scoping out a location. Think about what you want to do.
So these are two that you want.
What's that?
Won't let you down and suck it, Domitan.
Domitian.
Sorry,
When you stand strong while dramatically under fire, you get to roll savior instead of danger when you directly engage a threat. So yeah, basically if you're like, when you're standing under fire, when you really shouldn't be, there's a scene in one of the Hawkeye comics where Kate Bishop is basically like bullets are raining down around her and she's just got the arrow up and is like completely ignoring it and takes the perfect shot. And just as she does that, she mutters that particular line just as she lets fly, because that guy's name is famously an archer that was supposed to be able to like shoot an arrow and then like split the arrow in midair or fire 3 arrows at the same target at the same time or stuff like that. And she pulls off a similar kind of shot. The other thing that you need to do specifically is look at these drives, because beacons are all about how awesome it is to be a superhero. So you choose 4 drives on this list. And there's a spot for it on your, I think there's a spot for it on your character sheet. Yeah, down here in the bottom right-hand corner of your character sheet, if you scroll down, there's a place where you get to add which drives you're going to do. And you get to pick 4 out of this list. When you check them all off, you get to pick 4 new ones. And every time you it's basically a bucket list for superheroing. And when you check off one of these things, you get potential, which is basically an experience point. Save a teammate's life, pull off a ridiculous stunt, get drunk or high with a teammate, get a new costume, make out with a teammate, punch a teammate, stop a fight with calm words, whatever. Pick the 4 that you want to do as your first little thing, and they go in there.
So do I have them myself?
You can if you want to. You can just type them in there. Just what you do is for each one of them, hit the add button and then type in. And when you're done filling in that first one, hit add again and it'll make another one. And you just add 4.
Okay.
So I would like to know what they are. And I think everybody should know what they are, because that way we can make it awesome and awkward for you to try to get them.
Save a teammate's life, help a teammate when they need you most, earn the respect of a hero you admire, and stop a fight with cold words.
Okay.
No kidding with the boring.
It's useful later to be like, okay, I need to get, like, if your current goal is to punch a teammate, then it's like, Kieran can be like, all right, it's time for me to be the kind of guy who gets punched in the middle of an argument. Not that I'm volunteering Kieran to get punched. It could be anybody. Probably Jamie.
It's gonna be Ferdinand.
It was usually you, honestly.
It's gonna be me.
It's going to be me. Okay, so that's what we're going to do with that real quick. And when we get through, so everybody have a pretty good picture of Josephine's character? All right. Kieran, we're going to talk about you real quick now. We're going to talk about Liam. We're going to talk about Liam. Okay, so same kind of thing with you. On your character sheet, you've got the 5 labels. You need to figure out where that extra point's going to go to bring your total up to 3. To a certain extent, you're almost... in a lot of ways, you're almost the flip side of the beacon, because your danger is high, your freak is not negative. You're not really about that savior right away. And I want to point out, like, a 0 isn't bad. A 0 is just not remarkable. And I think it's important to understand, especially the way I do it, but it's really most of failing is not a bad thing. I was playing Masks earlier today.
About fun failures.
6s can be awesome.
Just about believe.
The best, yeah. You might melt Belize. That's fine. Zoe was trying to rescue a bunch of civilians today and rolled a 3. She rescued them, and then literally every bad guy in the next 5 blocks over swarmed on top of her to like 5 or 6 feet deep. And it was butterflies that were trying to bite and or feed on her tear ducts. So it was not a good time for her. But she still did the thing. It wasn't really about that. It was about the consequences that came from it. So it's important to understand, don't worry. But even with the 0, odds are pretty good, whatever. So that's the thing with labels. And the thing that I'm curious about now, because I really want to know, I'm going to go down to the Reformed.
Josephine danger by a point, by the way, so it went from -1 to a 0.
Cool. So she's just not necessarily bad at it. She's just not great at it. That's fine.
Exactly.
All right. So on the Reformed, the other thing that you need to figure out is the Reformed is you're young, but you've been around for a few years before switching teams. You know how to fight, but you're known for one ability more than any other ability. Choose one from poison, venom, or acid control, ferrokinesis, so Magneto, basically, fear manipulation, weapons or martial expertise, vitality absorption, and geokinesis. So I guess Terra from Earthbending, sure. I was thinking Terra from Teen Titans, but you were kind of thinking what?
I was kind of thinking of my whole thing was that like he went back to save the two kids once he finds out there's kids in the car.
Okay.
And trying to shield himself he tries to shield himself with his body. He doesn't know he has powers and ends up reshaping the car to wrap around him and the kids and leave the bomb outside. So I think the Magneto one would work.
Ferrokinesis. All right, sweet. That's cool. I like that. That you can do a lot with that in a city. Note to self, put Liam in a forest at some point. Carry around a bag full of ball bearings or something. And the other thing that you need to look at is, again, like on the second page of the playbook for the Reformed, there are some moves to look at. So you pick one of those, you pick two of those as a special move that you have, and you can put them on the, just tell me what you have and we'll put them on the character sheet. And finally, take a look at the character sheet because at the bottom you have a thing for friends in low places. It's on your character sheet as contacts. You have ties to villains from your previous career. Choose 3 names and you fill them in the blank and then you say what their specialty is. Weapons, materials, cosmic artifacts, alien tech, or insider info on the criminal world. You pick one for each one of them. And those are folks that you can go to and ask for favors. But every time you do, your obligation to them kind of builds up until eventually they will ask you for a favor that it's going to be kind of uncomfortable to help with because, again, they are criminals still.
Okay.
Are you hating this playbook more or loving it even more?
I'm loving it even more.
Yeah. So there's kind of a role that you do every time you go to them for help. And
I love Crime Boy.
I mean, there's going to be some complications that come from that. All right. So think about that stuff. That's stuff that you would go on the character sheet, fiddling around a little bit. Who's less? Okay. Kaylee, or rather Valerie. Valerie Vincent. See, double V's. You got to get the alliteration. It's very important. Where?
It's different from the same name twice.
Okay. Cassie. I like that. Okay. For the star, your powers are flashy and impressive. Choose one. We went with Strange Wings.
I do have them wings, though.
Okay. So we went with Strange Wings for the flashy, impressive thing. We'll have to talk a little bit about what that, like if you're going to go the route of Hawks or what the wings let you do. That kind of
Something, not for sure.
They do something, but what?
They definitely let me fly. That's certainly part of it.
So, what's that? Oh, they let you fly, of course. The star moves you get to pick from. Again, you get to pick 2.
So I'm either thinking about. So I know I want stage fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm either am thinking about take it from me or cold and cruel. Which one should I take? Sorry.
When you shut someone down, I think that cold and cruel probably makes more sense. And the reason I say that, comfort or support, someone who openly admires your celebrity persona. Usually comfort and support is only aimed at other players. So unless you can get everybody on board with admiring this, like, attention hound that you've constructed.
I think cold and cruel is probably better as well.
Okay, and the last thing is look at the character sheet because there's a whole thing where you have to basically check a bunch of boxes to define your audience. Like, who are they? What are they? Where are they usually?
I love people's help with this, by the way.
So, why does your audience love you? Mark all that apply. You're just like them. You're a dangerous person, a bad seed. You're a noble warrior for justice. You're stunning, unique, and beautiful. You're charming, well-spoken, and smart. You're a firebrand and a rabble-rouser.
Okay, so I'm definitely going with you're just like them. You're a noble warrior for justice. I meant like you're just like them, as in like you're a noble warrior for justice. You're stunning, unique, and beautiful. Does the firebrand contradict too much with Noble Warrior for Justice?
I mean, that might be a thing that you do for like, it depends on whether or not you want to make a cause out of like conversion camps, brainwashing, conversion therapy. So if you want to do things like, if you're going to make yourself like someone who speaks out about that, then that might be something that would fit.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with You're Just Like Them, Noble Warrior for Justice, Stunning, Unique, and Beautiful, and the Firebrand.
Okay, well, that's a
I
check.
don't think I also need to be charming and well spoken because no.
Okay. And then you choose two.
I am not that, so I can't fake that.
So you choose two advantages for your audience. I think one of them is probably you have a PR agent to handle your audience.
Almost definitely.
The other ones are your audience is devoted to you. You can easily speak to them at any time. You earn a lot of money from them being interested in you. You have a major hero's endorsement, or you have a much wider audience than typical. So figure that out, whichever one you want. And then choose.
Peanut Gallery?
What's that?
Peanut Gallery? Help?
I'm going to reiterate. I'm going to re-list what they are so people can pay attention. So you have a PR agent to handle your audience. That's done deal. Pick one of. Your audience is utterly devoted to you. You can easily speak to them at any time. You can earn a lot of money from their interest. You have a major hero's endorsement, or you have a much wider audience than typical.
So I'm thinking one of two things. Easily speak to them at any time would be kind of fun because we've all got a cell phone now and you can just go live.
Oh, stop. It'd be so fun.
Or a major hero's endorsement because I think that would be funny. Because you've got Halo at the back just like disdainfully shaking his head, and I've got somebody else at the front. I think maybe easily speak to them at any time because it makes more sense in the time that we're in. You know, just
Sure.
be able to go live at any point.
Yep.
So that one, are we thinking is better?
I think it makes the most sense. And finally, choose two demands that your audience makes on you. They require constant stimulation. They require perfection, no mistakes.
Sounds like some other people I know.
They require frequent bouts of drama. They require major acts of heroism. They require novelty and brand new action. They require chemistry with your allies.
So the chemistry is definitely on there. And I think we're also going to do the frequent bouts of drama because I live for the chaos.
Oh my God. Okay, cool. When you accept what
Are
you...
we excited or are we excited?
I mean, I'm horrified, but when you accept your audience, what your audience tells you about yourself, you can clear a condition. When you reject what your audience tells you about yourself, on a hit, you can mark potential and expect retribution from your audience. When you seek help from your audience, roll plus superior. On a hit, someone in your audience can hook you up with an answer or help. On a 10 plus, they only make a small demand. On the 7 to 9, their demands are a lot higher. On a miss, you've made a mistake and your audience won't help you until you've redeemed yourself in their eyes. You are legitimately somebody who in the middle of a fight will pull out their phone and say, "Hey, chat, I've got a question."
Oh guys, I'm fighting Joel. What's the best way to take him down? Because I'm not seeing any weak points.
Okay, and we're going to go down to the Harbinger is in a different place.
Josephine also mentioned an interesting role-playing point, Dad, for the live streaming thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a common grind with the sister and the PR agent is I'm constantly going live when she's not telling me to. And live streaming means that often things are not scripted.
Okay, Harbinger. Jamie, your abilities, you're from the future, and that has benefits. Like future knowledge, even though your memories are scrambled. Plus, your powers may have had something to do with how you got back to the past, the present, now. Choose one option from the list below. Super speed, optimized biology, telepathy.
You love super speed.
Telepathy, telekinesis. Oh, I forgot how much you hate that. Right. I have to get a super speedster in here somewhere. Telepathy and telekinesis, teleportation and portals, futuristic gadgets and implants, and finally energy absorption and redirection. What's your thing?
Hey, So, if you'll let me, I'm kind of thinking like portals, but not just like teleportation portals, maybe also like time travel portal, like teleportation time travel portal. Hey, time and space are like the same thing, right?
If you're like, if
when and where? How is there a difference? What?
I encourage, see, and this what's funny here is that you never ran into this in your last mask game, but every other player in every other mask game I've ever run, hearing you propose more time foolery, every single one of them would be screaming, "No! You don't know what he's going to do with that!"
I do though.
I love time foolery.
Again,
I want multiverses. I want everything.
I think the thing to remember, first of all, sure, I will absolutely, I mean, if you want to hang yourself, I will absolutely sell you additional rope. With that said, if you want a thing to go a certain way and you're going to do a thing with it, you tell me what you're doing, dice still hit the table and it could go poorly. And when you're talking about time travel, things going poorly can be very bad.
Because, like, I'm kind of thinking, like, oh, I use my powers and I'm not very good at it and I fail a roll. And it's like, I don't show back up for a couple of days.
Yeah, because she accidentally tripped and fell into next week.
Oopsie.
Okay, there's a bunch of Harbinger moves. It's mostly about you trying to defend the timeline, okay? Or like if you think that somebody's important, you can tell them how they're important. You can also do something like you've studied them in the future and you can tell them an application for their powers that they haven't thought of yet. And if they do what you said, then they get to roll with your superior instead of their freak. You know, weird stuff like that. Figure out what you want to do. Figure that out. And then the last thing you've got, you don't have to actually make any decisions about this right now. In fact, you can't. But when you got two different moves that you could do. After time passes or at the start of a mission, you can sort of roll to see how your investigation into the timeline is going and see if you've had any kind of clues or breakthroughs from figuring out what the hell is actually going on and how you prevent the future. And the other one is you're trying to remember parts of the future and remember there's 6 roles that you're trying to figure out who is these roles. The monster, the traitor, and the corruptor. And what that means is kind of up to us. And then the martyr, the architect, and the leader. And once you've figured that out, you can try to fix time. And if you do, then all of your knowledge of who fits into what spot resets and you start over because now time has been changed again. Your memories have been fucked with. And now the future's off on a slightly different thing. Try not to accidentally make any of these people not be born. That would be awkward.
Okay. I'll do my best.
Suddenly Halo's on your team and Kaylee's character is the one that stayed with the compound and
Oof, that would be rough.
oof. Okay, so that's what we think about there. And we're getting low on time, so I want to stick with this a little bit. There's gonna be some stuff we have to sort out before next week. We talked about
JV,
Karen
when are you in Brooklyn back?
The 21st.
7 days from now.
When is that?
Next week. Next Sunday.
By next session, Brooklyn will be here.
Okay. We may need to, if we get a chance, we could maybe bounce some emails back and forth and try to get an idea of what she's thinking about. And again, if people can't make it, I'm trying to set this up so if people can't make it one session, it's not that big of a deal because you're all kind of in the same zip code. You're in the same action, and I'm going to try to make sure that things are relatively wrapped up at the end of a session so that if we start something next session, it doesn't have to be like, well, how do we get there because we were in the middle of a fight last time? We're going to try not to do that. If we end up in it...
Cliffhangers?
What's that?
No more cliffhangers?
Well, I didn't say no more cliffhangers. Don't fucking put words in my mouth. But if it's something like that, I'm going to think about how we can get people in, and I might be using love letters more. I'll explain love letters later for those who don't know what I'm talking about. But I might use love letters more to kind of like resolve the last stuff that we left hanging, so that we're starting out the next session with that kind of like, you know, people are back in class. We're back at the coffee shop. Let's look at Brooklyn's thing real quick. Where is the attached? So you have a mental link with your friend. Apparently you spilled some of this goop on yourself too.
Yeah.
You have a mental link with your friend and communicate with them silently at a distance. As well as working together, you and your friend have, choose 2, unusual mobility, tactical awareness, energy bolts. I can't even. Armored body, forceful slam, sonic roar, enhanced senses, and barrier construction. I'm imagining amphibian mucus and barrier construction, and I am not okay with any of them. No, I'm kidding.
That is what I was actually thinking of. I was thinking of Grant being able to like create big like snot bubbles of like mucus to like
Delicious.
like block things and stuff. So
Okay. Barrier construction?
And I think unusual mobility.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
actually tactical awareness.
Oh, you weren't, because you got gymnastics, but you were saying something about using the slime for like adhering to walls and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing.
By the way, no pictures of real frogs because Josephine has like a very real phobia of frogs.
What about toads?
Yeah. Everything is drawn.
Toads too. And tadpoles apparently.
We won't do close-ups of like actual frogs.
I'm sorry if this affects gameplay, but I didn't know anything about Brooklyn's character, and I accidentally made my character afraid of frogs. So, Cassie.
I don't know if that's a bad thing. I mean...
Cassie's afraid of frogs. So, I can change that aspect, though, if that's going to, like, affect gameplay too much.
Oh, it will definitely gameplay in the best way possible.
Beautiful.
Sorry, I didn't know.
I'm just gonna.
Just a giant frog walking around.
I'm gonna gesture silently at the second season of Young Justice, where Superboy hates monkeys and he's working with Beast Boy. Like George, when he's alone, monologues with you in his brain about how he's gonna bring Cassie around.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, playbook moves. You get to one of them is dictated to you, and one of them you get to pick. The one that you automatically get is look out. The first time in the scene when you would mark a condition due to directly engaging a threat or to taking a powerful blow, your friend may intercede and take the hit for you, and you don't mark a condition. And then you get to pick from a couple of other options, some of which make more sense for your concept. Like one of them is when you merge together with your friend into a new form, describe what that I mean, if you can do that, great. That isn't how I envisioned. That isn't the thing I'm picturing from what you told me. But if it turns out that you guys can turn into sort of a massive frog person thing, sure.
Is your character like really smart and discovered this growth hormone and then was able to replicate it? Or was this guy just carrying around a fucking pharmaceutical of this growth hormone? Or are you going in or getting Kiernan's character to go in and steal more growth hormone for you?
That would be really good storyline if I could get Kiernan to steal it for me.
Alternately, and I'm not saying no to that, but alternately, the thing might have been permanent.
Yeah.
Like he's just a very, very big frog all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, lives on the down low.
That was my original impression, but you do you, Queen.
Yeah, let me know what you think.
Yeah.
I
want there to be, because I still want there to be some sort of, connection to, the scientist. So, if he's trying to get, the growth hormone back, so,
maybe he just wants to steal your fucking frog and experiment on him.
Okay.
Or, yeah.
Counter proposal: when you either approach him or try to steal more of the stuff or just try to break in to find more of the stuff, he finds out what happened and he is so fucking excited about this that he immediately wants to start working with you because he finds this result. I never considered amphibians. Of course, the absorbent skin. How did I?
That sounds sick. That is really good.
Or he connects the dots and fucking sleuths to find your phone number. You just get your random unknown call. Hello?
And just because he's on your side doesn't necessarily mean that's great news, because unfortunately he is a obsessive compulsive inventor who just wants the scientific results and may not always consider the consequences.
Maybe he caused the apocalypse.
He could accidentally cause the apocalypse. There's a couple different things in here. There's also some stuff I added to your character sheet. If you scroll down through the attached thing, if you guys are separated for very long, it has detrimental effects on your mental stability. And also your friend has a hunger, capital H.
Yeah.
So you want to nail down some of that stuff. One of the ones that I really like in here that I just looked at, communion. When you seek out advice or insight from your friend, I just love the idea of this like frog being a real thinker. Like,
Yeah. I want him to be like extremely intelligent, but like he's also like he acts like a puppy dog sometimes. Like sometimes if he goes like he sees a fly, like he'll chase after.
what?
Pardon?
Excuse me?
It's a donut.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe. I thought you said like my dad. Anyway, no, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Your friend is joined with you, but has an agenda of its own, perhaps parallel, perhaps capricious, perhaps more sinister. It begins with hunger 0. At the start of a session, roll plus your hunger, plus your friend's hunger. On a 10 or 11, hold 2 points. On the 7 to 9, hold 1. On a miss, you may hold 1 if you choose, but you get to select the option below rather than the MC. So this is a situation where rolling high is bad. You want to roll low.
Terror to butterfly pavilions everywhere.
Name something that your friend must have. Oh my God. All right. So yeah, you'll have to do some thinking about good old George and some of his more creature instincts.
Yeah.
All right. So we're getting down near the wire of
Yeah.
yes.
It's Grant.
Did I say George? I'm sorry, Grant. I'll get there. As I said, I'm very, very bad at names. Kieran.
Yeah. He like couldn't in our last fighting. He couldn't remember the name of like half of our NPCs that we had recurring. Just constantly got the wrong name.
Diego.
Diego.
I was going to say Emilio just now. So
Okay. Sure you were.
I got it right a year later. All right. There's a couple things we need to do, kind of do last as a group real quick. And I'm going to run back through the character sheets to do that. And then we can kind of wrap up. I can answer questions, a few other things. So we're going to start with the beacon. This is about the thing that brought the team together. And I want to explain something really, or just touch on it for a second. We are talking a lot about fighting and also that kind of stuff. I have never done more condition damage to a character in a fight as I have done at a family dinner. The system works for any kind of conflict, for any kind of tense scene. So understand that, because it isn't just about fighting. It's not even mostly about fighting. There's lots of reasons why the stress and stuff. I mean, the conditions that you can take are afraid, angry, guilty, hopeless, and insecure. And I think we could probably do all of that in like one algebra class on a Monday morning if I try real hard. So just understand that. But this particular thing, when our team first came together, is about a fight where you guys sort of famously came together and we're in the city, and like the first time that you really worked together as a team. All right? So, Josephine, brace yourself. If you need to come back to this, let me know, but this is what we're going for. So this is the Beacon's version of this question. When our team first came together, we found signs that this incident was just the start of something bigger. What were the signs? You don't have to say what the bigger thing was, just what were the clues that you looked at and go, that's weird.
Dad was fighting. Can you give us a baseline?
Well, okay, let's as a group answer this question. Then I'm going to flip back up to the bowl, or flip down to the bowl really quick. Well, no, actually, hang on. That was maybe we have to do somebody else first. So let's see what the different questions are. Nova, outsider, protege. Where's the other? What's the reforms question? Okay, we'll start with Kieran then. I'm throwing Kieran under the bus instead. We fought a terrible enemy from my old life. Who was it and what did they take from me?
Oh, yikes.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Britain. That would make him a hero, and that makes this whole thing kind of problematic, but well, actually, no, he could have been somebody like another person from like the IRA or from another like sort of terrorist organization or something like that too.
It could have been like another attempted IRA attack, except they decided to go to the States.
Yeah, could an ambassador is in town, like yeah, and it's going to be like a hit or something like that. But let's make them superpowered. Let's make them like a thing, or it could be a group. It could have been like a particular cell, or a cell that maybe you used to be part of.
Well, that explains why I was there. If there's some kind of ambassador thing happening.
Sure. But so terrible enemy could be a group, or it could be an individual.
What about the IRA's been doing experiments into creating supers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Josephine mentioned something that could also tie back into her thing. They could possibly have been attacking with a gas that nobody had ever seen before.
That would be cool.
Because that can bring Jamie's stick in and also bring in Josephine's question.
Well, yeah,
let's
put that on the side because Jamie's got a question too, but we'll tie that in. So IRA, it's good though. It's good because we're laying the seeds. So IRA experimenting with meta-powered individuals. Maybe after you showed, like they got you on video and was like, this guy, why don't have we overlooked a major opportunity here? Or they'd always been trying because Britain obviously has like sanctioned superheroes, so they want their own.
Maybe. So I was wanting like that. I was raised by the IRA, that I'd been taken in. That's why I was so fanatical from the beginning.
Sure.
For them. What if I was the first of an experiment, and this is the perfected one, or this is another?
I kind of love that a little bit because as long as Kaylee doesn't think that's like stepping on the stars, but there's also a really neat parallel there, right? Because like she was sort of like a product of the weird religious cell, and you're a product of the. I want to say terrorist. I want to say extremists. Terrorist is also accurate given the things that they did, but they, but yeah, if that's cool with the both of you, that's a really interesting parallel. But there could be other guys, right? There could be other people.
Yeah.
So I want you to think about like maybe pick another power set from the Reformed and go, that's what this person got. Where I've got whatever your thing is, the ferrokinesis, maybe they're geokinesis or something like that, or they're the fearman. What's that?
I was wondering if we want to like use Kaylee's and Yosemine's idea about the gas, if they were poison or acid control. The poison venom or acid control, we could tie the gas thing into there as well.
Yes.
Josephine has an idea. Go. Okay. She's got a theory that is pretty sick.
I was thinking maybe that like the gas they were using was originally like intentioned to make more superheroes, but it wasn't working quite right and the superheroes never quite turned out the way they wanted. So they contacted a genetic scientist to come help fix it, which would be Brooklyn scientist, except that he fucked with it and then it turned into the gas that brings the world down.
So that's future stuff that might happen, but I like it. I also all of this. Okay. Y'all are jumping ahead, but that's okay. So taking all of this, we've got a guy who can create like poison, venom, acid control, poison, like actually exude poison clouds kind of thing. It's not doing what they want, but it is effective. Or they want to make it more effective and they kidnap a frog chemical guy to use, but that hasn't happened yet. It might happen. We're just going to put that out there as a potential possible future state kind of thing. I love it. There was a rule I had in one of my games, actually the players came up with it, was that if they came up with a horrible good idea and they said it during the game, I wasn't allowed to use it. But if they said it outside the game, I was.
If it's made in game, you absolutely can use it. Are you kidding?
I got a once a month veto for them to say, you can't use that. And I'm like, this is the one, I'm burning this one because I'm absolutely going to use this one. This is my once a month veto. Anyway, all right. So I love that poison. So back to the question, blah, blah, blah. We fought a terrible enemy from my old life. So a guy, maybe a friend of yours from, that you both volunteered for this program. And he got like poison control or poison something. And he's going to be used as this assassin. So old friend, same generation, like a fellow fanatic raised by the IRA kind of thing. Is that what we're going with? Who was it?
I think so, yeah.
What did they take from you?
Ooh,
Popped it with a little needle, took out from your blood.
that's cool.
Your little sister, your virginity.
Oh, I'd like if he's an ex-lover.
Dig it. Oh my God. The assassin is my ex?
Love.
Oh my God. All right. All right. We have established what was going on. We have an ambassador, some sort of political or big social thing happening in the city. This person's been brought in for a killing. Now we're going to go back to the idea factory, known as Josephine. The beacon question. We found signs that this incident was just part of something bigger, even bigger than an international assassination. What were the signs? Again, not trying to figure out what they were signs of, just what was the weird thing that's like, this is an assassination, poison, ambassadors. Why is there this? Why was that there?
I was thinking maybe that because this is going to be like a whole big battle that brings the team together and my character isn't big on battle, I was thinking maybe what would happen is like everybody else rushed in to stop the assassination and they all got knocked out. And I came in and was like, crap, I need to like help these people because they're dying. And so like I fixed them. And then the minute I fix them, I'm like, cool, they're good. But then their noses all start bleeding again and they're bleeding out their ears and their noses and like they should be fine because theoretically I fixed them, but for some reason they're not.
So there was a secondary
Some kind of injury happened that couldn't figure out.
there was a secondary agent.
One that I've never seen before, and I was thinking it could be due to the gas, because like if they got hit with like bullets or something else, I can fix that. But if I didn't realize that there was a gas in the air that they had been inhaling, like I wouldn't have known to fix that.
Josephine, am I there yet?
That is up to you.
I'm going to say it's up to you because your question is, why is this thing there that's pointing to something bigger? And if...
No, I don't want you to be the answer to that. I want there to be like a weird...
No, but I'm saying, but if this gas possible thing that is causing the injuries, I would maybe theoretically know something about it, or...
Well, if you did, it would probably be you dropping out of the sky the minute their noses started bleeding and then like looking up and being like, is it happening already? Is it too late?
It's happening!
I'm gonna. How about this as a suggestion? Like you figure you're fixing them, and then they start hemorrhaging again, basically, and you read their. I know this is not what it is, but you read their aura, right? And you see an additional foreign element that you later realize is nanites. That has nothing to do with the poison gas. It's like high tech something else that was in there to like it was riding along or making it worse or reinstigate something. And it's there was nobody in there that would introduce nanites. Why nanites? Wherefore nanites?
Yeah, I just wanted like an additional injury that I didn't catch right away.
Yeah. And you weren't looking for tech stuff because literally the air is full of gas. It should be that.
So I was like focusing on their lungs and not like, their blood cells or whatever.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. That's the clue. I don't know what the question is for the attached. Let me look. Okay. Star and the harbor. Okay, I'm going to look at the questions and figure out which one makes the most sense to ask next.
Mine is, we as a team attracted the attention of a major media outlet within the city thanks to our efforts. Who are they? Why do they support us?
I mean, this one kind of almost answers itself a little bit. So major media outlet, basically this is carte blanche for you to make up like a feature news.
Literally any news outlet that was covering the ambassador and then just being like, oh, they said the ambassador.
Let's talk about this some more because it's not critical right now. It just means that when we get rolling, you've got an ally in the news, like in publicity and stuff.
So,
okay.
Mr. Cancer, Halcyon City Herald, because we saved the ambassador.
And possibly several ambassadors, because it wouldn't have just been the one, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask Brooklyn this because I'm going to go to the attached. My friend manifested some effect or thing that I had never seen before. What was it and how did it shift the battle?
So my guy he gets hungry, right?
Yeah.
Grant gets hungry. Could he possibly eat any of like the nanobot technology?
I was gonna go somewhere with like the saliva or the secreted mucus or something like that, like actually breaks down the nanites in their native form. So like the frog is hopping. Like once Cassie and you kind of figured this out, or once Cassie figures it out because it's like there's slime coming and it drops and some of the nanites die. Once she's having the frog like jump around licking people.
Yeah, just like blowing snot bubbles
Or
something.
the frog like sticking the tongue like goes out, grabs somebody, yanks it into the mouth, and they're like, and then he spits it out, and they're like, oh,
That's good.
And
That's really
have
good.
to keep half swallowing people to fix them.
That would be good. That's really funny.
I'm gonna have to ask the group, or really Josephine, to see if we need to like set the frog phobia aside, because for Cassie to have instigated the frog needs to swallow everybody who's been affected. That seems like a bridge too far for her right now.
I was thinking maybe if I figure out that it's nanites in their blood, and then, what's your character's name?
Dal or
Dal?
Stick.
Dal.
Or Stick.
Yeah, okay. So, like, if I'm healing people and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's nanites in their blood, and then you pipe up and you're like, hey, Grant can do something with nanites, and I'm like, who's Grant? And I turn around and see the frog and just pass out.
And you just have to figure out.
Grant can tell people what's
all of her conditions.
I just love the idea that like you wake up later, it's like, is everybody okay? Yeah, I didn't know exactly what to do, so I just had Grant swallow everybody and then puke them back out again, and they were fine. And you're like, cool, and then you pass out again.
I wake up from passing out, and there are people throwing up and crying.
I mean, downside, you had to live through that. Upside, there's a lot more people who are squicked out by frogs than there used to be, so you're not alone.
I just love the image of Valor with like the beautiful wings covered in slime, just like on all fours, shaking in the corner, just.
Chad, I've got to go shower. I just. Oh.
And then once, Dal explains to me what she had Grant do, I can just pass out again, and then, Valerie can carry me off straight.
Okay. Lastly, Harbinger, when we averted a disaster from the future's history books. I think, what was the disaster? Was there like, did the nanites combine with the poison to like turn into like almost the poison became infectious?
Or the fucking ambassador just died and it started spiraling into bullshit.
Well, originally I was thinking that, but in my background, I have that it's not just a poison gas; it's a parasitic gas.
Well, so I want to say, this is not the thing.
Right.
This is the first thing you fixed.
Exactly. So, but then you introduced the nanites, and I was like, oh, okay, in the future, if they mix the nanites and this like poison gas kind of thing, they could see how maybe eventually that could get the parasite. But I feel like it's too soon to avoid the gas, since I feel like that's kind of the big inciting incident. So I'm kind of thinking like,
I kind of like the idea that this event like sort of echoes the really big horrible thing, but in a really almost suspicious way. Like, this is really close to what the other thing that happened. It's not the same thing, but man, is it similar. Like, where it's kind of suspiciously close to events.
I feel like there's this ambassador that has has a lot of power and has these like political beliefs on how to like deal with supers and science and stuff. But in the past, in this specific instance, he died.
Okay.
And so there wasn't a lot of people in power that were able to go against maybe what comes
Or
next.
they weren't organized. Yeah. So the effect that you hope it had on the timeline is that later, when the big thing happens, there's better organized resistance to stuff. Gotcha.
But I also do agree that I feel like this is kind of like a smaller echo of what does happen. And it's like, people on Valerie's chat are like, oh my god, like what the fuck? This is crazy. And like maybe there's a couple of conspiracy theorists that are like, what if like, oh, this is the government's doing, what if they like got it out to everyone? It would completely destroy it, like, oh, right? And it's like, but from my perspective, I'm like, holy shit, this fucking happens. This is crazy.
Okay.
The ambassador walks up to start thanking us for saving his life, and you come careening out of the sky and knock him the fuck out. I mean, he doesn't die, but like.
Okay. So we're over time, but I have one more set of questions. Do we wait till next time, or do we finish the questions?
We're good.
I'm okay.
You and Cannon are good too.
Okay. All right. So the few little things. So on everyone's play sheet has a couple of questions about relationships. This is to help your group kind of tie together and just kind of an idea what you have different connections to. So we're going back to the beacon because they're at the top of the list in the playbook sheet. So there you go. First question is,
So happy.
yep. First question is, blank is awesome, and you take every chance you can get to hang out with them.
I was thinking the Celtic Bull for that.
Interesting.
Because I think that's a nice like parallel because they are so completely the opposite of my character
Yes.
in like every possible way.
That
so
is
to have me admire them a little bit, I think would be kind of funny.
all right.
They're
And
like wow, you stand up for yourself and you make a difference and you have cool powers.
okay, the other one, you've got to prove yourself to blank before you will feel like a real hero.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Calamity for that one.
Cold and cruel. Cold and cruel. Okay.
That's Jamie's character, by the way, Dad.
I know. I'm just thinking about the little. Okay, prove yourself to the future girl. Love it. Legacy.
I just want you to know, I plan on being a total asshole in this game, as well as being a complete martyr.
Okay. Good to know. And I think it's important if this is going to be the thing that Cassie has put out as the goal. As far as you know, from whatever you can remember from the history books, she's not even in there.
Fuck.
Like
Oh,
she's
hold on.
not in like the stuff that you know about this team and stuff. She's not on the list. So you don't have to do that. I just think it would be cool if you did.
Josephine thinks that's cool.
Okay. Relationships for the Reformed. I have earned the trust of blank, and I generally follow their example of what a hero should be.
Sorry, I missed that second half of what you said.
So this is for Kieran. This is for the Celtic
Gotcha.
Bull. I have earned the trust of blank, and I follow their example of what a hero should be.
I'm not 100% sure how to say it, but Kaylee's character. I was wondering something similar about if
Chrysolophus.
having the Solophus?
Chrysolophus is. You can just say Valerie.
Valerie, okay. Chris. I'll go with that for now.
Yeah.
Because of the parallel between us, me leaving the IRA and leaving the cult.
Yeah. Nice.
You felt sympathetic or something for that.
I did something terrible to blank once. I hope they can forgive me one day. They might not even know that you did it. We will ask that question in a second.
Clint?
Who's missing parents?
Josephine?
Well, time traveler, you don't quite count because I don't think he probably did that to your parents.
Lore. It's not Kieran's fault that Josephine is missing her parents, though. There's lore. It's very, very depressing lore.
Hey, we don't know when the apocalypse started. My parents totally could have been around when they were around. My parents could be around when I'm here. What the fuck? Tiny bullshit, man.
Not if Kieran killed him in a bomb blast.
Oh, fuck. Well, no, because they have to have me first, don't they?
Right, but you could be with an orphanage now or something. It probably is a
Right,
little.
yeah.
It could be a little bit. I think it's probably a little bit farther in the future. I did something terrible to blank once. I hope they can forgive me one day. Follow-up question: do they know?
I'm gonna say they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Answer that much. Yikes.
I think either New Brooklyn or Josephine.
New Brooklyn.
I mean, you could always do me and just try and figure that shit out.
Do not say to me.
What'd you say?
I've only mentioned like in at least my backstory mentions of my mom. So
Yeah.
I could write it in that Kiernan killed my dad.
Probably not intentionally. Probably.
Not intentionally.
It could have been on orders. It depends on what your dad did.
Yeah.
Are you perchance British?
Well, I'm white, so.
Or simply traveling abroad.
It could be that he was caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time at one of the bombs I said.
Yeah. But then you hear, like, because you've probably taken the time now to find out the list of names of people who were affected by what you did in the past. And then, like, after you guys have done all this and you're, like, exchanging names and, the surname jumps out and you're like, wait, sorry, what was your last name? Springer?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Shit.
Okay. All right. That's good. All right. The Innocent. The Star. Star. Kaylee. Blank might wind up being more of a star than me someday.
Definitely Brooklyn.
Just because of Grant.
People just love frogs, man. I'm reading this there's an author that I follow who does basically they just release it on, they have like a Patreon and they just release all the stories on Patreon. But they're it's a superhero story, but they're living with basically somebody who used to be, when they were a teen, were like Nancy Drew. Now they're just nosy. But the way they pay the rent is she has a hamster and she does cute shit on Instagram with the hamster, like baking them tiny pancakes and stuff and filming it. And that's how they make rent, is the hamster.
I can just imagine Chris using Grant for clickbait, trying to dress him up in cute outfits.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Tiniest out on the largest frog.
Yeah.
Okay, so not Brooklyn. Stick might end up being a bigger star than me one day, or is it Grant? Grant might end up being a bigger star than me one day. If he ever gets a voice synthesizer, I am screwed. Blank would be a great sidekick. I'm going to try and keep them around.
So this is most definitely Remedy, which is fucking hilarious, I think. You're a great sidekick, and I'd love to keep you around. So I would make a great sidekick. Not to not include you in any of these questions, Jamie, but you did just fall out of the sky.
No, it could have been. That could have been months ago. I mean, the fight didn't just happen. It could have been weeks ago. It could have been.
I'm gonna actively avoid you to the ends of the earth, because my character hates attention so much, and how much you dislike with how much your character dislikes my character, I think is fucking hilarious. The fact that my character's gonna try to avoid you at all costs.
There's a scratch pad in her apartment, and your name is on there. Your superhero name that she's come up with, Remedy, is on there. It's underlined multiple times. Then underneath, in quotes, is Pocket Healer. I mean, it's all. She's got a plan, man.
She's got the vision board, and she's got multiple Pinterest boards dedicated to what our lives are gonna look like when I finally join her.
This is a plan. This is terrifying. All right. Not the Nomad. Okay, we got that.
I start my Pinterest mood board. This is us when we're not together, when you're not my sidekick. Do you see all that red? Do you see all that negative energy? Okay. This is us when we're going to be sidekicks. Look at that happy dog. You want that puppy in your life.
Jamie.
Yes.
Relationships. Blank turns away from the hero's path according to the history books. You have to prevent that from happening.
Okay, so the obvious answer would be the reformed, but I think that's boring.
Way to make yourself the center of everything. Oh, wait, you are playing the star.
I really was thinking Kat's character. I think that'd be really funny.
Turns away from the hero's path.
Oh, it's Grant.
Grant. We have to keep Grant.
So I got terrified because Grant actually this overlord. I'm like, oh my god!
Did you guys ever watch the sort of the reboot of Scooby-Doo that was Mystery Incorporated on Netflix, where the mastermind was actually the parrot? I just have this idea where you guys are without realizing it, you're all being steered by Grant.
Well, yeah, because then that works in with us being able to communicate. Because yeah, he's kind of dumb like a dog, but at the same time he's really intelligent.
This is back to Jamie. You've always idolized blank, but it's too awkward to admit it to them now that you actually met them. Keep it cool, be cool.
I think it would actually be really funny if this one was
The Celtic Bull?
The Celtic Bull, yeah.
You've always...
You become famous in the future. It's not like the now famous, like, oh, you've got followers. It's like, oh, maybe you're some kind of, like, you're a revolutionist or something like that.
You're like you on the team, and you're like, oh my god, it's you guys. And I'm like, oh yeah, it is. I'm sure you know it.
You aside, I'm like, no way! Your philosophy on blah, 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 or whatever.
Or in your future, he's like the aged, like senior leader, genius statesman who keeps society together in the last bubble of surviving humanity. And now you're meeting him as a kid and you're just like, it's like meeting Obama when he's 17, you know?
Oh my gosh. Or better yet, he was the one who was like, we need this power source thing. It's gonna help stop whatever. I know what to do with this power source. I need a team, or like whoever gets me this power source, blah, blah, blah. So then everybody's fucking going after this power source.
Okay, I like it. So, finally, Brooklyn.
An inspiration of mankind.
Finally, Brooklyn. You had actually, so this is before the fight stuff. You crossed paths with blank just after the whole thing with Grant happened, and you were still coming to terms with it, and they helped you come to terms with your situation. Now, I know that you guys want to have the thing where Jamie just fell out of the sky and landed on the ambassador, but it could be Jamie. Like, it could have been like...
I want to...
Go ahead.
That's what I was kind of thinking, because, like, I want everything that happened with Grant to be like really close to the first like time that the group got together, because I really want our dynamic is like, because we're already like, me and Grant are like already besties, but like I want it to be that we're like learning how to fight together, sort of thing.
And the fact that like Future Girl like kind of knows where you could end up is like, and can kind of encourage you in that. I mean, I understand this a little bit, because if you've got like, I'm just thinking about real life. Like if you've got a dog that you love and you sit there and he's just like your best guy, and suddenly you can actually talk to each other. Yeah. That's weird. It's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
And be that Jamie fell out of the sky onto the ambassador, and that was her first thing. But after then meeting all of us, she then goes back to the moment, like, you know, little mini time jumps.
Okay, so what Kaylee was saying is, our timeline, as we experience it, is that she met Brooklyn first, and then later there was the fight. As Jamie experienced it, there was the fight, and then she went back and met Stick and Grant, according to Jamie's timeline.
Yeah, and I feel like that would be funny.
Not to encourage.
What was that, Brooklyn?
Yeah, and she's gonna, if she could be like really frantic and just be like, okay, I know that you can talk to your frog. I know that he can get really big. Just listen to me. And like she kind of.
How do you know this? Yeah.
Everything, and is kind of like just thrown into the deep end of like fighting. Yeah. So Charlie Evans would be my.
Dig it.
Yeah.
And the last one, and this may end up being a very obvious, and that's okay if it's just a layup kind of question. Blank has an unusual reaction to my friend, and I'm still trying to figure it out.
I see.
Constantly suppressing the gag reflex.
We need to figure out why.
With Cassie, it's not a...
The only way to investigate this is experimentation.
Cassie doesn't have a gag reflex. She has a Grant reflex.
Yep.
Okay, so there's one other thing that we need to do, but we're not going to do it right now. It's called influence, and you give influence to a certain number of people that are in the team. All influence is who you listen to. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you don't listen to people. That isn't quite right. When somebody who has influence over you says something about how they see you or how the world works, it lands hard. It lands, you hear it, and you, without even having a defense up most of the time, you sort of immediately internalize it. If someone that has influence over you says, man, you're like a protector, man. You are a caregiver. It affects you. It could shift your labels. It is something that you feel, and it's also a way for them to be easy to harm you or to cause you a lot of stress. You get to pick, and it depends on. So, for example, with Brooklyn, you begin with your friend having influence over you. This influence cannot be removed as long as you remain together. You choose one teammate who you are drawn to, despite worrying that your friend might not understand. And you give that other person influence too. So that's what Brooklyn has to figure out, is who has influence over you, even if it's possible Grant might be a little bit jealous.
Jamie's is so simple because everybody just has influence over her.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie's is easy. Everybody has influence. I think like the Beacon picks 3 people because it's just so freaking odd. They're all so amazing. These people are just so amazing. So you automatically pay attention to a lot of them. Probably everybody, but everybody but Valerie. No, it's only 3 people. I'm going to say wait on the influence thing. And if Brooklyn, Colorado flavor does up their character and you guys want to change some of your answers to kind of tie them in better, that is totally fine too. So we can tweak that a little bit or whatever.
Make sure you guys boost one of your stats so that you're at a additive of 3.
Yeah. So figure out what you want to be higher there. And then figure out what moves you want. If you have any questions like, hey, I can't decide, I don't understand what this move does, can you explain it to me in context? Can you give me an example, anything? Just email me or text me or whatever. I put a thing on Google Chat to invite everybody to a group, but that should also let you see me on Google Chat, so you can send me messages there. Whatever, shoot me an email. Ask Kaylee and make her talk to me. Whatever, it's all good.
Don't do that.
Don't make her talk to me. It's terrible. It's just the worst. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Anyway, so influence stuff. The other thing that you need to understand is because of where you are emotionally, every adult in the game has influence over you, even the bad guys. If they're older than you and they seem like they have their shit together, they have influence over you until you take it away from them. So that's fun. Because if you're fighting a bad guy and he's like, kid, you don't even deserve to be on the battlefield. You are not nearly tough enough. Go home and bake muffins or something like that. All right, that's his attempt to move your danger down and move your mundane up. What do you do?
Reject those label shifts.
You can resist that. It doesn't just automatically happen, but it is kind of a thing that works within masks. Okay.
You can definitely still argue with them and also let them change your labels.
Yeah. Fuck you.
It's like, wait, I want that shift, but also fuck you.
Fuck you. I hate you. You're wrong. Are you accepting the label shift? Oh, yeah, totally. Absolutely. He's completely right. There is a certain amount of, you should certainly always think about your character and like what they would do in a given situation. But at the same time, there is a little bit of author mode with some of the stuff. Like what is, and to that end, like if you have a secret or something like that with your character, that's cool. But remember that we're thinking about this kind of like comic books. So it can be kind of like, if a character in a comic book has a secret that they never explain for the audience to see, they're just acting weird and everybody gets bored with it. If the audience knows about it, and functionally we're the audience, if the audience knows about the secret, then it becomes, when does it come out? And then we've got tension and irony and all that kind of stuff. So the approach there is different than the way it sometimes works in other games and stuff like that. As far as how the game actually works and stuff like that, I think that's all going to come out next time. Next time we're going to figure out some stuff. The other thing that I will ask for in the next week or so is, what do you do day to day? I mean, if the Harbinger is living out of an abandoned van in a garbage dump and, that kind of thing, or if they're playing the stock market to have funds to work with, if they brought back a bunch of old money and they're just using that to, like, what do you do? Are you are you taking classes in college? Are you this? Are you that? Like, what is the deal? Some of you kind of talked about it, but say it out so I can think about it, because that will help me kind of tie things together and figure out that kind of stuff. Some of you have connections to other heroes and stuff like that. Let me know so that I can figure out how to best explode you next week. Cool? I was going to say, and I don't know whether Kieran and Brooklyn, if you were on when I said it, but next time, it may, you probably definitely, well, I don't know about definitely. I think you're both on roll 20 now, so that's cool. That will, actually, I still don't see Kieran on there, which is weird, but whatever. If you're both on Discord, and again, setting it up is free. Let me know when you're on. I should get a notification when you join so I can give you the right clearances and stuff like that. You want headphones that cover your ears, and probably there's an option for like push to talk, so you push a button to talk and then let it off so you're not echoing, because you've heard a couple times when Kaylee was mic'd up at the same time that Josephine was talking and the echoes happen. It's fine. That shit happens. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal, but it can be helpful. Nobody should probably have to worry about echoes from Jamie. She's far enough away that's not going to probably be a big thing. Cool? All right. Are we excited? Does this sound cool?
I'm very excited.
Yes.
I think it's fucking cool how everything kind of starts to tie together, and kudos to those of you who are like going, oh, you guys could be this and that thing and this other, looking primarily at Josephine there, but there were connections that everybody was kind of popping off. That's good shit, man. That's good stuff. It really, I'm thinking now I got stuff to do. So, with that said, I don't prep a lot. This isn't the kind of thing where I cannot emphasize this enough. Do not worry about breaking whatever plot the guy has come up with. I don't think that far ahead. Mostly it's like, hey, this weird shit has happened. How are all the other like characters, the non-player characters, how are they all reacting? What do they do? What do you guys do? And then I sit back and go, this is so fucking cool. And I watch and eat popcorn. Okay? We will figure it out from there. Cool?
And chaos ensues.
And then chaos ensues. That's usually when Jamie gets to roll. I mean, we got portal teleporting. We've got metal control. I got to figure out
Frog.
What's that?
Giant frog.
Giant brain frog. Barrier, mucus, and if you guys decide like, hey, I got to thinking about it, I actually like this kind of combination of powers or this thing, let me know. Also, let me know if you finish your character sheet. Like, I feel like I've gotten everything checked off. Please let me, I should know that so that I can go back and look and make sure that everything adds up and that I know what the moves are so I can kind of point action that direction, okay? Like, if you've got a move that comes up when you argue with a superhero, then I need to throw a superhero in your path for you to argue with, for example. Okay? Cool? With that,
Perfect.
I'm going to go to bed because I'm tired now. I got to work tomorrow. All right. Thanks, guys. This was a ton of fun. I'm excited. This is cool. Good stuff.
Much excitement.
Indeed. All right. Cheers, all.